guess the table of contents. Shabbat Shalom. Okay. Okay, so you want to call pages then? Yeah. Otherwise I'm just be.
Sorry.
That's okay. I'll just welcome everyone. Just smile and greet. Yeah, or whatever else. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Shabbat Shalom. And it's nice to, Shabbat Shalom, Susie. It's nice to see you here and to see you online. And we're going to begin tonight's service. We're going to hand things over to Jill, where we'll begin our service with
Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem.
On page
Please
5.
rise, and maybe we'll all encourage everyone to come a little closer.
Come down front.
Come on up. The front row has been reserved for your seating pleasure.
That's right.
Jeff Ellis, you have reserved seats, the VIP seats, right there in the front row,
That's right.
next to Susie. Those are reserved seats for you.
We got 4.
We got 4. Table for 4. Non-smoking.
We're good. There's plenty of room. Here we go. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Amlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. lechem leshalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mi melech malachei hamlachim, kadosh baruch hu. Baruchuni leshalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mi melech malachei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch hu. Tzedchem leshalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mi melech malachei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch hu. Shabbat shalom. Please be seated. These opening hymns and songs and things that we're singing are intended to kind of bridge us from the regular work week to this Sabbath, to Shabbat, where we conscientiously stop and breathe and center and think and not run around all the time. So we gather ourselves. We have the opportunity to separate. We're not thinking about the work week. We're not thinking about the freeways. We're thinking about the fact that Shabbat is about joy and about delight and about community and about being together. And that's what we bring when we sing these psalms. We're going to continue with Lechuna Ranana, which is on page 11. And you know, if this page does not have transliteration for this psalm, but lies, clapping, stomping, you know, making noise, that's all part of it. I know it's not pouring yet, so not grogger noise, but Shabbat noise. We'll take it. Lechuna Ranana on page 11. Lechuna Ranana, Lechuna Ranana, Lechuna Ranana l'Adonai. Lechuna Ranana, Lechuna Ranana, Lechuna Ranana l'Adonai. Naria, Naria, Letsuri Shenu, Nekadma Fana Betoda. Naria, Naria, Letsuri Shenu, Bizmiro Naria Lo. Lechuna Ranana, Lechuna Ranana, Lechuna Ranana l'Adonai. Lechuna Ranana, Lechuna Ranana, Lechuna Ranana l'Adonai. Ki el gadol Adonai melech We're going to continue where the red arrow is on page 12, and this does have the Hebrew on 12 and the transliteration on the other 12 at the red arrow. So pick whichever alphabet you would like and sing along. Arba'im shana akut bedor vayomar am toel levavhem vehem lo yada'u derachai asher nishbati ve'api im yavo'un el menuchati. Next page, page 13. La 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 la.
La la la.
That's good. La 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 la. La 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 la. Shiru Ladonai, Shir Chadash, Shiru Ladonai, Koharetz, Shiru Ladonai, Baruch Hu Shemo, Pasru Meyom Leyom, Yeshuato Sapru Vagoyim, Kevodo Bechol Hamim, Niflotav Ki Gadol Adonai, Ula Meyor, Norahu, I'll call Elohim, Ya la la la, Ya la 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 la, Ya la la la, Ya la 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 la, Ya la 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 la, Ya la 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 la, Ya la la la, Ya la 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 la, Ya la la la, Ya la la. As we get to the end of this psalm, where the red arrow is on page 14, I just want to say that what happens is in this psalm is that the joy and the gladness that we feel as human beings moves out of just the human realm and into the realm of nature. And I know that those of you who took my Psalms class remember that what happens with the poetry of the Tehillim is that suddenly the whole world is in gladness and in joy. And so these first couple of lines right at the red arrow there talk about the fact that the heavenly realm is going to be glad, that the earth is going to be glad, that the sea is roaring in gladness and in gratitude. And so it's a really wonderful way to just kind of think about the fact that we are ourselves, but we are also part of a community, and our community is part of an entire world, and our entire world is part of an entire universe of gladness and of gratitude, and that's how we feel on Shabbat. So let's sing it out on page 14 at the arrow. Woo! Yismechu hashamayim.
Hashamayim.
Yeah, Yismechu hashamayim.
Hashamayim.
Yismechu hashamayim. V'tageh haaretz. Let's do that again. Yismechu hashamayim.
Hashamayim.
Yismechu hashamayim.
Hashamayim.
Yismechu hashamayim. V'tageh haaretz. Yiram hayam. Yiram hayam. Yiram hayam umelo. Yiram hayam. Yiram hayam. Yiram hayam umalo. We're going to continue on page 16, not at the red arrow, because I'm a little bit of a rebel like that. Instead, we're going to start 4 lines from the bottom at the words Or Zarua Latzadik. Or is the word that means light, and there is a light that is created and that is sown and that is shared among the righteous, among the people who are out there doing good in the world. They share that light with others. They have that light for themselves. And so we're going to sing Or Zarua Latzadik. I like to bring in, that really flowy, meditative melody. This is part of our whole transition from the crazy work week to the sweetness of Shabbat. So sing along with me, and if you don't know the words, lie, lie, lie with me. Or Zarua Latzadik, Yishrei lev simcha, or zaru ala tzadik, Yishrei lev simcha, la la la, la la la, ya la la la, la 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 la. Do the la la la's with me. La la la, ya la la, ya la la la, la 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 la. Saru v'chatzadik l'shalei simcha. Way, way, way back, in about the 12th, 13th century, there was a group of mystics that hung out in Sfat in Israel. And they were thinking of all different kinds of ways to imagine the entrance of the feeling of Shabbat. And one of the things that they did was write this amazing poem called Lecha Dodi. Dodi means loved one. Lecha means come loved one. And it's this idea that Shabbat, for some of those mystics, was personified like a queen or a princess or a bride, somebody they wanted to honor and glorify. I think for some people that imagery works perfectly, and for other people they like to recapture the feeling of when they haven't seen a loved one or a friend in a long, long time, or when they just happen to catch the face of their child in their rearview mirror and they have that spark, like, I really love that person. That's the feeling of Lecha Dodi. So as we kind of think about whatever that feeling is for us, we welcome that feeling in this prayer. It's going to begin on page 23, and we're going to sing the first couple of verses, and then we're going to skip to page 25, where we will sing the last two verses, and on the very last, we're going to stand and face the door as if we are welcoming that feeling, bringing in that Shabbat feeling, and having that feeling join us in our kahal or in our community. So we're going to begin on page 23. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, yalalai, 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 pnei Shabbat. Nekabela, oy, lecha Dodi likrat kala, yalalai, 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 pnei Shabbat. Nekabela, oh, shamor vezachor bedibur echad. Ishmianu el hameuchad, Adonai echad ushmo echad, leshem uletiferet velitila, lecha Dodi likrat kala, yalalai, 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 pnei Shabbat. Nekabela, lecha Dodi likrat kala, yalalai, 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 pnei Shabbat. Nekabela, likrat Shabbat, lechu v'necha, ki mekor haberacha, merosh mikedem nesucha, sof maaseh b'machashavati la, lecha
Dodi likrat kala, yababai, 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 pnei Shabbat.
Nekabela, oh, lecha
lecha dodi likrat kala yababai yababai yababai
Pnei Shabbat nekabela oh yamin usmol tifrotzi ve'et Adonai taritzi hayarish ben pratzi venismecha venagila lecha dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 Pnei Shabbat nekavela oh lecha dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 Pnei Shabbat nekabela boi veshalom atet bala gam ezlicha utzola toch emune am segula boi chala olecha dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 Pnei Shabbat nekabela olecha dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 Pnei Shabbat nekabela. You may be seated. Music. And people who are deaf and who have hearing loss don't always hear music with their ears, but they definitely hear music with their souls. I've seen it happen over and over again. So when we think about the reason that our programming exists today, and we also think about how we talk about the poetry of music, let's think about not just something that we receive with our ears literally, but something that we receive with our souls. Mizmor Shir is on page 27. Mizmor Shir leyom haShabbat, tov lehodot l'Adonai ulezamer l'shimcha elyon ulezamer l'shimcha elyon. Let's just do that part together. Mizmor Shir leyom haShabbat, tov lehodot l'Adonai ulizamer l'shimcha elyon ulizamer l'shimcha elyon l'chagi babocher chasdeka l'melcha b'alelu alei asar magadlu masach The Shabbat candles are already lit, but it is really one of my favorite moments of Shabbat to be able to use the candles as a way to remind us of the warmth and of the glow and of the community of Shabbat as we bless God for the opportunity to be together and to have that glow. I'd like to actually invite Tina and Florence to just come and stand next to me. You don't have to do anything, just stand next to me, but I want you to be super close to the glow of the candles of Shabbat, so come on up. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lechadlik ner shel Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for rising. I forgot to say so. But now that we are remaining on our feet, please continue to be on your feet as you are able. And we're going to continue with the Baruch Hu, which is on page 39a. Baruch Hu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Baruch Adonai hamvorach leolam vaed. Baruch at Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. You may be seated. Umavir yom umavi laila, umavdil ben yom uven laila, Adonai Tzavaot shemo, Echai v'kayam tamidim lo chaleinu leolam vaed. Baruch atah Adonai, Hamari v'aravi.
Amen.
Ahavat Olam on page 40 is about love. You thought Lecha Dodi was about love. Well, now we're really talking about love, a deep, deep love that we have for God and that God has for us and for the world. So Ahavat Olam is on page 40, and the transliteration is in red on the other side. Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amcha Ahavta Torah u'mitzvot Chukim u'mishpatim Otanu limadeta Al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shochfeinu V'kumeinu nasiach berukecha V'nismach b'divrei Toratecha Uv'mitzvotecha leolam va'ed Ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu uvahem negei yomam v'layla negei yomam v'layla ve'yavarcha al tasir Mimenu leolamim Baruch atah Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha uvechol nafshecha uvechol meodecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha ve'shinantam levanecha ve'dibarta bam ve'shiftecha b'veitecha u'letecha v'derech u'shochbecha u'kumecha u'chartam le'ot al yadecha ve'hayu letotafot peinenecha u'ktavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha. We continue silently on page 42. V'hayim shemot. Adonai Moshe Lemor. Leman tiskeru vasitem et kol mitzvotai v'hitem kadoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher chotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim lehiot lachem lelohim ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem emet. We continue on page 44. U'malchuto b'ratzon kiblu alechem Moshe Miram ibnei Yisrael lecha anu shira b'simcha rabba ve'amaru chulam lai 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 ya lai 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 ya lai 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 la. Okay, just taught you the melody, so now you have to do it with me. La 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 ya la 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 ya la la la. Step it up a little bit. Oh, mi chamocha, pailim Adonai, mi chamocha, nedar b'kodesh nora, tehilot, oh, Malchutecha ra'uvanecha pokeyam lifnei Moshe ve'eli anu ve'ameru. Together. Adonai Yimloch Leolam Ba'ed Adonai ונאמר, כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל. I put on most of your chairs a Hashkivenu song sheet, and if you don't have one, I have more. Now you don't have any excuse to not sing with me. Hashkivenu is the blessing of the evening and of the night, and it asks God to make sure that we are protected on our way, that we are cocooned and surrounded with a feeling of love and a feeling of security. And the melody that we're going to be doing is going to start in the Hebrew and then is going to transfer to the English. So if you can read Hebrew or transliteration or English, you're in luck, because it means that you can join me on at least 2 out of those 3 languages. So, Hashkivenu. We're going to start with the text on 45, but it's on the song sheet. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom,
Leshalom.
leshalom, lehamidenu malkeinu lechayim, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Amen. Shelter us beneath thy wing, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the nights, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us, God, wrong from right. Amen. 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 One more round of those amens. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, haparos sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. Please rise for Shamru on page 46. Get those hands clapping and those feet tapping. Veshamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Shabbos לעשות את ha-Shabbat לדורותם ברית עולם. Let's pick it up. ושמרו בני ישראל את ha-Shabbat לעשות את ha-Shabbat לדורותם ברית עולם. בני ובן בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו
Bnei Yisrael
et HaShabbat לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש וביום השביעי ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, ויעמד דברה קירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון, ובחיי דכל בית ישראל. בעגלה, ובזמן קריב וימרו. Amen.
אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם ולעולמי עולמים. יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה.
בריחו
לעילא מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, תמירם בעלמא ויאמרו. Amen. The Friday night Amidah is silent. And this is especially interesting and relevant today when we talk about people who don't have the capacity to hear everything that's happening around in the world. And yet, so much internal life can exist both in what we see and experience and what we feel inside. So for the silent Amidah, I ask you to just really embrace the fact that you don't hear sound and yet notice how much you can actually feel and how much you can actually experience. The silent Amidah begins on page 47. We're singing together the seventh bracha of the Amidah, the seventh prayer for and blessing for peace. And the Hebrew is on page 51, about half the way down, and it's also in transliteration in red on page 51 on the opposite side. Shalom Rav. Shalom Rav,
O
Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon, lecho hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon, lecho hashalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Page 54. Yitkadav yikadash me rabba, yamad yivra kirute v'yamlich machute v'chayachon of yomechon v'chayedech hobit Yisrael v'agalav yizkol uvizman kari v'yimeru. Amen. Yehesh me rabba mevarach le'alam ulam me'amaya Yitbarach v'yishabach v'yitpa'ar v'yidraman v'yidnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudesha Brichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata dami ram be'yama v'yimeru. Amen. Tikabal soton v'rochon dechol Yisrael kodom v'rochon v'yishmaya v'yimeru. Amen. Yehesh lama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimeru. Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav. Hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imeru. Amen. Shabbat shalom. Shema Yisrael, we davened tonight. Hear, O Israel. We say when we wake up. We say many times during the day. We say is the last thing we say before we go to sleep. Hear, O Israel, we say. That's a difficult verb when we're talking about people who can't hear. Now, as surprising as it may seem, the Torah actually takes many opportunities to talk about, to legitimize, and even to celebrate the state of deafness. In chapter 4 of Exodus, remember, the reticent Moses does all that he can to get out of the job of being God's choice to approach the Egyptians. He comes up with all kinds of reasons why he doesn't want to do it. Begging God to choose somebody else, Moses pleads, "Please, Adonai, I have never been a man of words, neither in times past or now that you have spoken to your servant. I am slow of speech and slow of tongue." God's response to Moses' entreaty is loving and deeply emotional. God says, "Who gives man speech? Who makes him dumb or deaf, seeing or blind? Is it not I, Adonai? Now go, and I will be with you as you speak and will instruct you what to say." Now, this is a fascinating redefining of how Moses views himself, because he refers to his slowness of speech as a disability, but God defines it as part of God's handiwork. God's ownership of human deafness and blindness ties in directly with the idea of B'Tselem Elohim, that each person is created in the divine image. In the next book of the Torah, God speaks to Moses and asks him to communicate a long list of laws and commandments to follow. And now Moses has had some practice. He's doing all right, right? In Leviticus chapter 19, God says, "You shall not defraud your fellow, and you shall not commit robbery." 2 verses later, God says, "You shall not render an unfair decision. Do not favor the poor or show deference to the rich. Judge every person fairly." Now, you're wondering why I cited those 2 things, which doesn't seem to have anything to do with anything. But interestingly, between those 2 statements, the chapter that I skipped, God specifically states, "You shall not insult the deaf or place a stumbling block before the blind. You shall fear your God. I am the Lord." Now, it is noteworthy to me that God prioritizes care for the deaf and blind so highly that he nestles this commandment between the negative commandment against robbery and the positive commandment for the fair treatment of all people. God seems to state that disrespecting the deaf will rob them of their dignity, which then leads to the assertion to judge your kinsmen fairly. It nestles right in. The next book of Torah sources the most important prayer in Judaism, the Shema. The centerpiece of Jewish liturgy begins with the word hear or listen. God commands, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord is your God, the Lord is one," right? We cannot deny that God chooses the action verb hear, even when knowing that some of his creation will be unable to do so. The command hear, then, must not be taken so literally, but metaphorically, as if to mean pay attention or focus. One's ears do not need to receive sound to be able to think or pray deeply. Now, we know that there's a long history of deafness being aligned with idiocy. We see it in Aristotle. We see it in our own rabbinic texts. We see it in early European history and American history. However, despite the deep discrimination that has been and continues to be directed toward the deaf, in the American 20th century, in the Jewish world, inroads were being laid. There was a deaf congregation which gathered in New York City's Temple Emmanuel in 1907. Did you know that? Did you know that the synagogue offered simultaneous signing translation of its services in the first decade of the 20th century? The signing was done by Samuel Cohen, who was a deaf congregant who had studied for the rabbinate. They also had a deaf choir made up of 3 girls who wore white robes and signed the hymns as the congregation was singing. A New York Times reporter said, "Their skill demonstrated that there is music as well as poetry in motion." As difficult as it is to admit, a deep discrimination has followed the deaf well into the modern age today. Still covered with the dust of the previous centuries, Western medicine categorizes deafness as a disability. But Rabbi Darby J. Lee, who is deaf, writes, "The medical community typically views deafness as a pathology and as an aberration. In this view, deafness is seen as a disability. And according to this view, since people are expected to be able to hear, those who are unable to hear must have something wrong with them." The traditional medical community does not take into consideration the deaf community's redefining itself from being defined as disabled to differently abled, because in today's deaf community, there is a redefinition of the deaf experience, and there is a pride in the deaf culture that is a beautiful and magnificent thing to see. I've seen it. Rabbi Lee also talks about the transition from discrimination to pride. He writes, "The deaf community or deaf culture, deaf world asserts that deafness is not a disability. It is simply a part of the self and aspect of one's identity. Members of deaf culture self-identify as a culture, under the rubric of a shared history, shared experience, and shared language. There's been a lot of exciting stuff in recent years for deaf Jews. You might know that in 1960, Temple Beth Solomon for the Deaf was founded right here in the San Fernando Valley by Rabbi Solomon F. Kleinman. It was the first deaf synagogue in the world. In 1969, Yahad founded a program called Our Way for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing as a resource for religious, medical, and family needs for deaf Jews. In 1992, the Jewish Deaf Community Center opened as a nonprofit, non-fee-based organization promoting religious, cultural, and community events for deaf Jews and their family. They began a website in 2008, publishing information about Jewish deaf news and events for the whole Jewish world to read. In June of 2019, 80 deaf and hard of hearing children celebrated their bar and bat mitzvah, their b'nai mitzvah. The B'nai Mitzvah ceremony was hosted by the Sign Talk Foundation, which is an American-based organization which now has an online platform, social networking. There are deaf Jews out there who are finally part of communities. The tide seems to be turning. In 2013, Rabbi Darby Jared Lee became the second deaf rabbi in the United States to lead a hearing congregation. On the website of Congregation Kedem Shalom, Lee is quoted, "I knew I wanted to become a rabbi," he writes. "I wanted to sing and dance and pray, to engage people in their search for truth. But I pushed the thought away. A deaf rabbi, I thought? Now, I may not hear very well, but I really know how to listen." You should check out their website or the website of ritualwell.org. There is a beautiful video of two rabbis, one being Rabbi Lee and one being Roni Handler, reciting the Shema. Rabbi Handler chants while simultaneously Rabbi Lee signs the prayer in ASL. It is a short 30-second video, but one that stands as a symbol for how far the deaf Jewish community has come. Once relegated to the same social class as the mentally insane, deaf Jews can now stand up and practice with pride. They have a new way to pray, a new way to participate, and a new way for the people of Israel to, well, hear. Shabbat Shalom. Let's continue with the Kiddush on page 55. Please rise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho v'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit, Ki hu yom tehila lemikraye kodesh, zecher letziat Mitzrayim. Ki vanu v'chata ve'otanu kidashta mikomim ve'shabbat kodshecha be'ava uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat. L'chaim. Please remain standing for Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon. Latej gedula leyotzeh breshit, shelo asanu kol haratzot, velo samanu כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובהי מרומים. הוא אלוהינו, אינו עמד מלכנו, אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבותה אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא אלוהים השמיים ממעל, והארץ מתחתנו. ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו echad. Please be seated. We are in the time of Shloshim, 30 days since the passing of Martha Fink, Shirley Weiss, Natalie Mintz, George Morris, and Leo Caniglio. And this coming week, we observe the following yahrzeits: Joseph Shapiro, Carolyn White Buechler, Bessie Cutler, John Hoffman, Rosalie Turner, Anne Wagoda, Alfred Brager, Sarah Cohen, Alfred Marr, Harry Noodleman, Louis Abrams, Jake Farber, Adela Lowy, Morris Nebel, Louis Parker, Sarah Schwartz, Eva Slakoff, Jacob Abelson, Louis Barak, Marcia Grossman, Saul Schleicher, Alex Schneiderman, Judith Bloomberg, Nathan Litvin, Albert Rudolph, and Irving Schwartz. Remembering those we hold in our hearts, I'd like to invite any of you who are in mourning in the time of Shloshim or observing a yahrzeit in the coming week to please rise. The Mourner's Kaddish is on page 58. Yitz Gadal ve'yitz Kadash Shemei Rabbah. Be'alma divra kirutei v'yamlich malchutei. V'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uvizman kari v'imru. Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yithalei v'yithalal. Shemei dekudesha richu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata damiram be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabba min Shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru. Amen. So Shabbat Shalom. Thank you so much for being here tonight. I would like to say a very special thank you to David Kaminer for beautiful piano playing as always. When we're done with services, we're going to head into the lobby, and we'll make motzi, and we will have a beautiful dinner, and then we're going to have an amazing program. So I really want to thank Tina and Jim and Florence and Tony Hertz. I especially want to thank Tony Hertz. Tony Hertz has been carrying this Fourth Friday with me. Really, she's put in a tremendous amount of work and tremendous amount of time and hours. And so really, Tony, thank you so much for helping to put this together. It's wonderful. It's really wonderful that it's come to fruition the way that it has. To conclude, I'd like to ask you to rise and face the flag of Israel as we sing the Israeli national anthem together, Hatikva. Hatikva means hope, and we are steadfast in our hope for a peaceful, fruitful future for Eretz Yisrael. Please rise. And Rabbi Schuldenfrei wants to say something.
So first of all, Erev Tov, Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Just want to remind everyone about Purim. And so tomorrow evening, if you'd like to come with preschool-aged folks, or you yourself just want to smile at some preschool-aged folks, then that's at 5 o'clock. And we'll have a preschool kind of centered Megillah reading. It'll be just more shtick, but it'll be a lot of fun at 5 o'clock. And then at 5:30 is Vashti's banquet. And that is dinner. Some of you RSVP'd. And then after that, I think at 6:15, 6 something, is the Megillah reading. And that'll be right here, and that is combined with a talent show. So Sarita Stevens is going to be performing. Who else has signed up for the talent show? Not yet. We have 12 amazing acts lined up for tomorrow evening, from the youngest of the young to the most seasoned of the seasoned. And then on Sunday morning, if you'd like to come for Minyan, the Megillah, we're starting at 8:30 because we have the carnival starting at 10 o'clock. And if you haven't had a chance to volunteer yet, you can come and volunteer. We'd love to have you. You can just, I guess, come on by. We'd love to put you to work. Okay, that is Purim, and we want to thank student Rabbi Jill Goldwright for leading such a beautiful service. She said I could help out, but she was doing so great, I just kept on going. Oh, stay up there, you're doing great. I'm enjoying just participating. So thank you so much to Jill for that. And
Page 448. Yehudi homia ufatem Israel kadima ayin letzion Sophia od lo tikvatenu hatikva but no tavayim liotam chofshi be'atzenu eretz Zion v'Yerushalayim liotam chofshi be'atzenu eretz Zion v'Yerushalayim. Am Yisrael Chai and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
how you doing?
Good to see you. Don't forget your list. Shabbat Shalom. Wonderful job. Hold on to that for about a minute or two. No, just a second. Hold on. If you don't push this all the way in, and then you bring this down, it doesn't close.
See, I respect you for one reason. Only reason. Okay. So the other day, we were sitting at an ID, and this woman said to me, I mentioned that I had a book that I'm reading on Romania, okay? Because we're going there this summer, okay?
Grandmother.
Okay. Okay. I'll